The silent threat. Admiral Sarah Chen stood at the bridge of the UES Vigilant, her weathered hands clasped behind her back as she studied the holographic display before her. Another colony had gone dark. This time, New Montana. Population 40,000. No distress signals. No signs of battle. Just silence. That's the seventh one in 3 months. Admiral, Commander Rodriguez said, his voice tight with concern. Same pattern as the others. Chen nodded slowly, her eyes tracking the signature of quantum disturbances that lingered in New Montana's atmosphere. Most species in the Galactic Council would have missed these traces, their sensors calibrated to detect conventional weapons and energy signatures. But humans had learned long ago that what you don't see can kill you just as effectively as what you do. Play back the atmospheric readings from the last 6 colonies, Chen ordered. The AI compiled the data instantly, overlaying patterns of quantum fluctuations from each attack. To most observers, it would have appeared random, cosmic background noise. But Chen had spent 40 years in Earth's Special Warfare Division before taking this command. She recognized patterns in chaos. There, she pointed to a recurring signature. Every 12 hours before communication loss, there's a spike in quantum entanglement readings. Something's seeding the atmosphere. The bridge crew fell silent. Humanity had encountered hostile species before, but this was different. This enemy didn't announce itself with warships or energy weapons. They struck from shadows humans couldn't see, using weapons that killed without leaving bodies. Admiral, the sensor officer called out, we're picking up similar quantum signatures from Proxima Beta. The attack pattern starting again. Chen's jaw tightened. Proxima Beta was home to over 200,000 colonists. But this time, they had something the other colonies didn't. Warning. Send word to Earth Command, Chen ordered. Then get me a secure channel to Governor Matthews on Proxima Beta. It's time to show these shadows what happens when they try to hunt humans in the dark. Within hours, the Vigilance crew watched in fascination as Chen implemented a plan that would have seemed primitive to most spacefaring races. Teams deployed atmospheric processors, technology normally used for terraforming, modified to create artificial weather patterns. Ancient weather control techniques, originally developed for Earth's climate crisis, now served a new purpose. The quantum signatures are strongest in the upper atmosphere, Chen explained to her crew. Our invisible friends are using some kind of biological weapon that spreads through air currents. But they forgot something crucial about humans. We've been manipulating weather since before we left our home world. The modified processors began their work, creating controlled storm systems that forced the quantum-tainted air into predictable patterns. It was a technique Earth had perfected centuries ago during the climate wars, now repurposed for interstellar combat. Contact, the sensor officer shouted. Multiple objects decloaking in the upper atmosphere. The holographic display revealed them. Crystalline structures that defied conventional physics, their surfaces rippling with quantum possibilities. The Nix, as they would later be known, had never encountered a species that could detect their seeding ships, let alone trap them. Interesting design, Chen mused, studying the alien vessels. They built their entire strategy around being unseen. Let's see how they handle being exposed. The Vigilance weapon systems came online, not the advanced energy weapons most ships relied on, but modified versions of Earth's old kinetic kill vehicles. Simple, mass-driven projectiles, enhanced with modern targeting systems. The Nix ships, designed to avoid detection rather than survive combat, never stood a chance. As the orbital battle concluded, Chen received reports from the surface. The colony's automated defense systems, recalibrated to track quantum signatures, had identified and eliminated the biological agents before they could reach lethal concentrations. Proxima Beta would survive. Send the data to all human colonies, Chen ordered, and prepare a full report for the Galactic Council. They should know that humanity's experience with warfare isn't limited to energy weapons and shield technologies. Sometimes the old ways are the best ways. In the days that followed, as news spread of humanity's successful defense of Proxima Beta, other species began to take notice. The humans, dismissed by many as newcomers to interstellar civilization, had done what the Council's most advanced civilizations couldn't. They had detected, understood, and countered an enemy that had terrorized the galaxy for centuries. But for Admiral Chen and her crew, this was just the beginning. The Nix had revealed themselves, and humanity would not rest until this threat was eliminated. They had learned long ago that victory in warfare wasn't about having the most advanced technology. It was about understanding your enemy, adapting your tactics, and never, ever giving up. As the Vigilant set course for the next potential target, Chen allowed herself a small smile. The Nix thought they had found easy prey in humanity's colonies. Instead, they had awakened a species that had perfected the art of warfare through millennia of conflict. The real battle was about to begin. Pattern recognition. Dr. Maya Patel had spent the last 72 hours staring at quantum signature data until her eyes burned. The holographic displays in her lab aboard the research station Archimedes filled the room with a ghostly blue glow, each one showing a different aspect of the Nix attacks. While the military celebrated their victory at Proxima Beta, she knew they had only scratched the surface of understanding their enemy. "Computer, overlay temporal patterns from all attack sites," she commanded. The AI complied, creating a complex web of interconnected data points. Most researchers would have seen chaos, but Maya had spent her career studying quantum biology, a field most dismissed as theoretical until the Nix appeared. A soft chime announced the arrival of Admiral Chen. The veteran commander had recognized the importance of combining military strategy with scientific insight, something that set humans apart from many of their alien allies. "Tell me you found something," Chen said, her eyes scanning the complex displays. Maya nodded, manipulating the holographic data with practiced gestures. The Nix aren't just using quantum mechanics, they're quantum mechanics. Their entire biology operates on principles we barely understand. But they made one critical mistake. They assumed no one would recognize the pattern because no one was supposed to be looking for it. She highlighted a recurring sequence in the data. Every attack follows the same quantum signature because they have to. It's not just their weapons. It's their nature. They exist in a state of quantum superposition, which is why conventional sensors can't detect them. But that same advantage is their weakness. Chen's eyes narrowed. "Explain it to me like I'm not a quantum physicist." Maya smiled. "They're like light, Admiral. They can be both a particle and a wave, until someone observes them. The moment we force them to manifest in our reality, they become vulnerable. That's what happened at Proxima Beta, but we can do better than just forcing them visible. We can predict where they'll appear." She brought up a new display, showing a mathematical model of quantum probability fields. Their attacks aren't random. They follow quantum probability paths, like water flowing downhill, but through reality itself. If we can understand these paths, we can set up an ambush. Chen finished, beginning to understand. "Exactly. But here's the truly fascinating part," Maya continued, pulling up biological data from captured Nix specimens. "Their quantum nature makes them incredibly powerful, but it also makes them inflexible. They can't adapt quickly because changing their quantum state takes enormous energy. Humans, on the other hand, we adapt constantly," Chen said, a predatory smile forming on her face. "It's what we do best." Maya nodded enthusiastically. Their entire civilization is built on quantum predictability. But humans, we're chaos incarnate. Our decisions, our strategies, our very nature defies quantum prediction. We're the ultimate observer in their quantum equation, the one variable they can't account for. Over the next few days, Maya worked with military strategists to develop a new defense system. They called it the Heisenberg Grid, a network of quantum sensors and probability calculators that could predict likely Nix emergence points. But the true genius lay in its unpredictability. The system randomizes its detection protocols based on human brain wave patterns, Maya explained to the assembled military leadership. The Nix can't predict it because it operates on the same chaotic principles that make human consciousness so unique. The implications weren't lost on anyone. Humanity's greatest strength, its unpredictability, had become a weapon against an enemy that relied on quantum certainty. As the Heisenberg grid was deployed to human colonies across the galaxy, Maya continued her research. Each new piece of data revealed more about their enemy, and each revelation confirmed what she had begun to suspect. The Nix hadn't chosen human colonies at random. They had attacked humanity first because, on some fundamental level, they recognize humans as their antithesis: chaos versus order, adaptation versus certainty. "We're not just fighting them," Maya explained to Chen during one of their regular briefings. "We're redefining their reality. Every time we force them to manifest, every time we break their quantum patterns, we're teaching them something they never expected to learn. That uncertainty isn't just an obstacle to be overcome. It's a force that can reshape the universe itself." Chen considered this as she studied the latest battle reports. Human forces, armed with their new understanding, had begun to turn the tide. The Nix, for all their advanced evolution, found themselves unable to cope with an enemy that refused to follow probable outcomes. "You know what this reminds me of?" Chen said finally. "Earth's old martial arts. The best fighters weren't the strongest or the fastest. They were the ones who could turn an enemy's strength against them. We're doing the same thing here, just on a quantum scale." Maya smiled. "That's exactly it. The Nix evolved to be perfect, predictable, quantum beings. But in doing so, they lost something we humans never gave up: the ability to embrace chaos, to thrive in uncertainty. They made themselves so perfect that they became brittle. And now they're learning why humanity's imperfections are actually our greatest strength." The human element. Colonel Marcus Jackson stood in the combat simulator, his breath steady as holographic Nix manifestations flickered around him. The quantum-enhanced training room on Luna Base represented humanity's latest advancement in military preparation, but Jackson had insisted on something unusual for this session. His soldiers would train with both modern weapons and primitive tools. "Sir, with respect," Lieutenant Santos called from the observation deck, "why are we practicing with steel blades against an enemy that exists in quantum superposition?" Jackson picked up an ancient K-bar combat knife, its carbon steel blade reflecting the harsh training room lights. "Because, Lieutenant, sometimes the oldest solutions are the best ones. Maya's research showed us something fascinating about Nix physiology when they're forced to manifest. They're vulnerable to iron." The gathered soldiers exchanged glances. Humanity had developed energy weapons, plasma cannons, and quantum disruptors, yet their commanding officer was talking about steel blades. "Iron interferes with their quantum field stability," Jackson explained, demonstrating a fighting stance. "Our ancestors knew something we forgot. Sometimes the simplest weapons are the most effective." Computer, begin combat simulation Alpha 7. The holographic Nix attacked, their crystalline forms shifting between states of matter. Jackson moved with practiced precision, combining modern combat techniques with movements that would have been familiar to soldiers centuries ago. The steel blade disrupted the Nix's quantum field on contact, forcing them to remain in a solid state. "Notice how they can't shift back to their quantum state." Jackson gestured to the destabilized hologram. "Now imagine combining this with our modern tech." Over the next weeks, Jackson worked with Dr. Patel and Admiral Chen to develop what they called hybrid warfare, the combination of primitive and advanced combat techniques that exploited the Nix's weaknesses. Quantum-enhanced battle suits were modified to incorporate iron alloy blades. EMP grenades were filled with powdered iron that dispersed in quantum-disrupting patterns. "We're not just fighting a war," Jackson explained to his troops. "We're teaching the galaxy a lesson about human innovation. While other species chase ever more advanced technology, we remember our roots. We adapt. We improvise." The training evolved beyond simple combat. Soldiers learned to read quantum fluctuations like ancient trackers reading signs in the forest. They studied historical guerrilla warfare tactics, adapting them for quantum battlefields. Every human strength, every lesson learned through millennia of conflict, found new purpose against the next. During one training session, a young corporal made a discovery that would change the course of the war. She noticed that Nyx manifestations created patterns similar to those found in Earth's weather systems. "Sir," she called out to Jackson, "they move like storm fronts. If we apply old weather prediction models to their quantum signatures," Jackson immediately saw the potential. Humanity had spent centuries learning to predict and control weather patterns. If the Nyx followed similar principles in their quantum state, they could adapt those same techniques for combat. Working with Maya's team, they developed what became known as the Storm Walker Protocol. Combat units learned to read quantum weather patterns, predicting Nyx movements with surprising accuracy. More importantly, they learned to create quantum storms that disrupted Nyx formations. "It's beautiful, really," Maya commented during one demonstration. "We're using knowledge gained from Earth's climate crisis to fight an alien threat. Every hardship humans have faced, every challenge we've overcome, it all serves a purpose." The breakthrough came during a skirmish in the Ta-CD system. A small human force, armed with their hybrid weapons and Storm Walker training, encountered a Nyx raiding party. Instead of retreating or calling for reinforcements, they engaged using their new tactics. The battle recordings spread quickly through the fleet. Human soldiers, moving like dancers through quantum probability fields, their ancient weapons wreathed in modern energy fields, systematically dismantled a numerically superior Nyx force. It wasn't just a victory. It was a demonstration of humanity's unique approach to warfare. "This is what makes us different," Jackson told his troops after the battle. Other species see our use of primitive weapons alongside advanced tech as a contradiction. They don't understand that this is our strength. Humans don't discard useful tools just because they're old. We build upon what works, adapt what doesn't, and create something new from the combination. As news of the victory spread, other species began sending observers to human training facilities. The sight of soldiers practicing with steel blades while wearing quantum-enhanced armor initially drew skepticism, then amazement as they witnessed the effectiveness of human hybrid warfare. "They're starting to understand," Jackson said to Admiral Chen during a strategy session. "Humanity's greatest weapon isn't our technology or our primitive tools. It's our ability to use everything at our disposal, to find connections others miss, to adapt and overcome in ways no one expects." Chen nodded, watching as another group of soldiers trained below. The Nyx thought their quantum nature made them superior. Instead, it made them predictable. They never understood what every human warrior learns. True strength lies not in perfection, but in adaptability. Jackson picked up his Kovar, its blade now etched with quantum-resonant patterns. "We're teaching them that lesson now. And when this war is over, the galaxy will remember that humanity's mastery of warfare comes not from having the most advanced weapons, but from understanding that every tool, every technique, every hard-learned lesson has value. If you're creative enough to see it." Operation Daybreak. The war room aboard the UES Vigilant hummed with tension as Admiral Chen surveyed the assembled fleet commanders. Holograms showed the positions of over 300 human ships, gathered for humanity's first major offensive against the Nyx. Operation Daybreak was about to begin. "The Nyx have never faced a concentrated human assault," Chen began, her voice carrying to every corner of the room. "They've only seen us on the defensive. Today, that changes. Dr. Patel, if you would." Maya stepped forward, bringing up a complex quantum probability map. "We've located their primary staging area in the Perseus Arm. The Nyx rely on quantum entanglement for faster-than-light travel, creating a network of stable quantum corridors. Their main base exists in a state of quantum flux, normally impossible to target. But thanks to Colonel Jackson's Storm Walker protocols, We can force them to manifest. Jackson finished, his combat armor incorporating both ancient symbols and modern quantum sensors. The entire fleet has been equipped with iron-based quantum disruptors. Once we collapse their quantum field, they'll have nowhere to hide. The plan was audacious. While other species might have attempted to match the Nexus quantum technology, humanity had chosen a different path. They would use the enemy's greatest strength, their quantum nature, against them. The fleet will split into 3 battle groups, Chen continued. Operation Daybreak isn't just about winning a battle. It's about showing the Nix and the galaxy that humanity's approach to warfare isn't primitive, it's revolutionary. The first phase began 12 hours later. Battle Group Alpha, led by the Vigilant, emerged from FTL travel at the edge of the quantum corridor network. Instead of sophisticated quantum sensors, they deployed modified versions of ancient sonar buoys, designed to detect disturbances in normal space caused by quantum fluctuations. Contact, the sensor officer reported. Multiple Nix signatures attempting to shift to quantum state. Not this time, Chen ordered. Launch the disruptors. Hundreds of missiles launched from the human fleet, but these weren't conventional weapons. Each carried a payload of specially treated iron particles, arranged in patterns based on ancient sacred geometry. As they detonated, they created a web of quantum-disrupting fields that forced the Nix ships into normal space. Battle Group Beta, led by Colonel Jackson's ground forces, launched their assault as soon as the Nix manifested. Their ships, smaller and more maneuverable than the Nix vessels, carried troops equipped with hybrid warfare gear. Ancient combat techniques merged with quantum technology as human soldiers boarded the crystalline alien vessels. Remember your training. Jackson's voice carried across the combat frequency. They think in quantum certainties. We think in possibilities. Use that against them. The battle that followed would be studied in military academies for generations. Human soldiers, moving with the fluid unpredictability that centuries of martial arts had perfected, proved impossible for the Nix to counter. Their quantum-based combat systems, designed to calculate perfect responses, couldn't adapt to the controlled chaos of human fighting styles. Meanwhile, Battle Group Charlie executed the most crucial part of the operation. Led by Dr. Patel, they targeted the quantum corridors themselves. Using principles derived from Earth's weather control systems, they began destabilizing the Nix's FTL network. We're not just winning a battle, Maya transmitted to Chen as the quantum corridors began to collapse. We're rewriting the rules of space warfare. The Nix built their civilization on quantum predictability. We're showing them why that was a mistake. The Nix attempted to counterattack, their ships trying to reestablish quantum coherence. But humanity had planned for this. From their ships erupted clouds of iron dust, arranged in patterns that ancient human civilizations had once used to map the stars. The quantum disruption was total. They're retreating, Jackson reported from the front line. But something's different. They're not trying to quantum shift anymore. They're using conventional drives. Chen allowed herself a small smile. They're learning. Maybe for the first time in their history, they're having to adapt. Maintain pursuit, but hold your distance. Let them run. As the battle concluded, the scale of humanity's victory became clear. The Nexus quantum corridor network lay in ruins. Their main staging area had been captured, revealing technologies that the galaxy's most advanced civilizations had thought impossible to understand, let alone counter. But the true victory lay in what humanity had proven. Their primitive iron weapons, their outdated combat techniques, their chaotic approach to warfare, all had proven devastatingly effective against an enemy that had evolved far beyond such concerns. Send word to Earth Command, Chen ordered as the fleet regrouped. Operation Daybreak was a success. But make sure they understand, this wasn't just about defeating the Nix. This was about showing the galaxy that humanity's strength lies not in abandoning our past as we advance, but in bringing it with us, in finding new ways to use old wisdom. As the fleet prepared for the journey home, Observers from other species approached Maya with questions about human quantum technology. She surprised them with her answer. "Our greatest advancement wasn't in our technology," she explained. "It was in remembering that sometimes the old ways are the best ways. We didn't try to out-evolve the Nyx. We showed them that true evolution means keeping what works, no matter how old it might be." The victory at Operation Daybreak would change the face of galactic warfare, but more importantly, it would change how the galaxy viewed humanity. They weren't just newcomers with primitive habits. They were warriors who had learned to combine the wisdom of ages with the technology of the future. And that made them something the Nyx had never encountered before. An enemy who could not be predicted, could not be calculated, and could not be defeated by quantum certainty alone. Masters of adaptation. 3 months after Operation Daybreak, Admiral Chen found herself in an unprecedented situation. Sitting across from a Nyx representative in the UES Vigilance conference room. The crystalline being had requested this meeting through proper diplomatic channels, something unthinkable before their defeat at human hands. The Nyx ambassador, who had taken the name Echo for the benefit of human communication, shifted through various quantum states as it spoke, its translated words carrying tones of both respect and curiosity. "We have existed for 50,000 of your years." Echo's harmonics resonated through the room. "In all that time, we never encountered a species that forced us to change." The pause was significant. Change was a concept that the quantum-based Nyx had always considered beneath them. Dr. Maya Patel, seated beside Chen, leaned forward. "Yet here you are, using conventional space travel, engaging in diplomacy. You're adapting." "Yes." Echo's crystalline form pulsed with what might have been amusement. "Your species taught us something we had forgotten. That adaptation is not weakness, it is survival." The meeting marked a turning point in human-Nyx relations, but it also signaled something larger. Throughout the galaxy, other species were reassessing their view of humanity. Colonel Jackson, now promoted to general, found himself constantly fielding requests from alien military officials eager to learn about hybrid warfare techniques. "They don't understand yet," Jackson told a class of mixed-species recruits at the newly established Turan Combat Academy. "Our strength isn't in the specific combination of old and new. It's in our willingness to try combinations in the first place. Humanity's greatest weapon has always been our ability to adapt, to take what works and discard what doesn't, regardless of its origin or age." The changes rippled through galactic society. Species that had once looked down on humanity's primitive inclinations now sent observers to Earth to study ancient human martial arts, military history, and even weather prediction techniques. The quantum-disrupting properties of iron, a metal most advanced civilizations had abandoned millennia ago, sparked a renaissance in metallurgy research. But perhaps the most significant change came from the Nyx themselves. Their defeat at human hands had shattered their certainty in quantum supremacy, forcing them to confront a truth humans had known for millennia. True strength lies not in perfection, but in adaptability. "They're evolving," Maya explained during a briefing with Earth's leadership. "Not just technologically, but philosophically. The Nyx are learning to embrace uncertainty, something their entire civilization once considered anathema. And they're doing it because humans showed them that chaos and order aren't opposites, they're complementary forces." Admiral Chen watched from the Vigilance observation deck as a joint human-Nyx training exercise unfolded in the space below. Nyx ships, once purely quantum-based, now incorporated conventional drives alongside their quantum systems. Human vessels displayed a similar hybrid approach, their iron-based weapons systems seamlessly integrated with quantum sensors. "It's not just about warfare anymore," Chen mused to her assembled staff. "What we've really taught them, what we've taught the entire galaxy, is that progress doesn't mean abandoning the past. It means building upon it." The lesson hadn't been lost on humanity either. The war with the Nyx had forced humans to look back at their own history with new eyes, recognizing that their greatest strength had always been their ability to learn from everything. past and present, success and failure, primitive and advanced. A year after Operation Daybreak, the Galactic Council convened a special session to discuss the implications of human hybrid warfare. The council chamber, once dominated by species that prided themselves on their advanced technology, now buzzed with discussions of ancient human combat techniques and primitive materials. Maya, invited to speak at the session, summed up humanity's philosophy. We didn't defeat the Nyx because we were stronger, or more advanced, or even more primitive. We won because we were willing to be both, to take the best of our past and combine it with the best of our present. That's not just human warfare. That's human nature. The galaxy was changing. Species that had once raced toward ever more advanced technology began to look back at their own histories, seeking forgotten wisdom that might complement their modern capabilities. The human approach to warfare had evolved into something larger, a recognition that true advancement comes not from abandoning the old for the new, but from finding ways to make them work together. As for the Nyx, they became something no one had expected, students of humanity. Their quantum nature, once rigid and unchanging, began to show signs of true adaptability. They learned to shift not just between quantum states, but between different approaches to problems, different ways of thinking. Perhaps that's the greatest victory, Chen reflected during the first anniversary celebration of Operation Daybreak. Not that we taught them to fear us, but that we taught them, and ourselves, that the future belongs not to those who embrace only the new, nor to those who cling only to the old, but to those who know how to bridge the gap between them. The story of humanity's victory over the Nyx became legend in the galaxy, but not for the reasons many expected. It wasn't celebrated as a triumph of primitive weapons over advanced technology, or of chaos over order. Instead, it became a testament to humanity's greatest gift to the galaxy, the understanding that true mastery comes not from choosing between old and new, but from having the wisdom to use both.